Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's astrology and tarot of the week. We are a day late. That is because, number one, I haven't been feeling well. Number two, my computer might be broken. And if that doesn't answer your question, if we're still in Mercury retrograde, we are. And I have seen and heard that this is the worst one yet, or the worst one we've had in a long time. And I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about this cosmic alignment that's happening right now called Barbelt's Belt or Barbelt's Basket. It is this phenomenon that this French astrologer who also predicted COVID centuries ago, he talked about this, and this is a timeline shifting moment, and it's happening this week. And yeah, there's just a bunch of things happening. And then I did pull a tarot card for us to see what's going on. Excuse the lighting and the quality. I'm filming on an iPad right now. I usually film on my laptop, but she is out of commission. So Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Crazy. Basically, it's like an emotional backlog, and everything is bubbling up to the surface. If you think of like a toilet that's clogged, everything bubbles up to the surface, and if it didn't do it on its own, there's just situations that are going to make that happen, or that have been making it happen. Mercury goes direct on Wednesday or Thursday, the 23rd, whatever day the 23rd is. So we'll be relieved, and also the sun will shift into Leo, where the sun is very happy. The sun is very happy in Leo. So we will be relieved of this shit show that's been going on. To me, this Mercury retrograde has felt like a comet shooting into the ocean and then making a tsunami and wiping everything away. And what we are left with is all the shit we have to clean up. All the debris. And that's good and bad, because we probably needed the tsunami. We probably needed the wipeout. Sorry, I just had to brighten the light because it's starting to get dark. But we probably needed the wipeout. We probably needed to get rid of some stuff. And we probably needed to sift through a lot of things. And yeah, if you haven't been in review of your emotional values or your relationships or your home life, or this part in your chart where Cancer lands, and like how you communicate those things. So for example, if it's in your 4th house of your home, family, and like family foundational life, if you haven't been reviewing emotions surrounding that, connections surrounding that, and like communicating what comes up out of that. And it doesn't just have to be from your family, it could also be from like patterns that you received from your family, or ancestral things that you've received. Like these things are broad. And if you haven't been reviewing your emotional values in whatever sect of your life that there have been complications or friction, you should probably take it into review now, especially with this timeline shift going on. But before I get into that, I'll continue on Mercury retrograde. It's just really been like, I feel like it's been like tests from the universe preparing us for the shift, saying like, are you sure you're going to act this way? Or are you going to mature? Are you going to surrender? Are you going to let go? And our patience has probably been tested. Communication has probably been slow or delayed, or maybe you realize that you're in a situation where you just don't want to be, and you're in that situation like, fuck, I don't want to be here, but now I'm here because I made choices that brought me here. But really, you were acting from a different place. All of these things could be true. And what will happen when Mercury goes direct is there will be some clarity, and it's kind of like, we're done beating the dead horse. We're over it now. We are ready to move on. And if there haven't been lessons learned in this time period, maybe take some time to reflect if there has been any friction. And if there hasn't been friction around you or like in your personal life, congratulations. You're probably a wizard or not human. I feel like every single person I've talked to, myself included, has had at least one like hiccup of something. I mean, I feel like so much. I just got back from a yoga class too, and even in that class I've realized just like a really old wounding, an old pattern that has shown up for me in some like relational things between a few people in my life, and the story that I hold so tightly to that thing, and that it's been a crutch for me almost, or a given that this emotion, this feeling, this wound will always be there, and that I can't heal it. But now that I've recognized it, I think I'm ready to set it free. And it's a really painful realization, but yeah, that's kind of the energy of what's going on right now. That being said, this Barbalt's basket is an alignment of the planets. Jupiter is at 4 degrees of Leo. Neptune is at 4 degrees of Aries. Pluto is at 4 degrees of Aquarius. And Saturn is at 4 degrees... Not Saturn. There's another planet. And they're going to make like a shape of a basket. And I just learned about this actually last week, which is really blew my mind, because I always see... I forget if I mentioned this. I always see July as like a basin. And this doesn't happen every July, by the way. This is like a rare occurrence. But I always see July as like this basin, and we are at the bottom, and we are looking straight up and like reviewing everything before we move on. This Barbalt's belt is the moving on. This is the timeline shift. And again, it's like reevaluating what we want in this life, and reevaluating our actions, and reevaluating our values, and like making big changes toward that. I'm actually gonna look up something to read from, because like I said, I just learned about this last week. Cosmic Cradle peaks this week, bringing Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto together at 4 degrees. This powerful energy for breaking old patterns, imagining new possibilities, and creating meaningful change. This week is asking us to think bigger without getting swept into power struggles. A new future is possible, but we must be willing to release old roles, relationships, and limitations that no longer fit who we are becoming. So it's like it is on a collective level, and because these are bigger planets, this shift takes a little while, but it's time. It's time to review, and it's time to cut some shit out, and it's time to get the debris from the tsunami of Mercury in retrograde in Cancer out of here. Like, time to throw that shit away. And it's scary, because whoever is doing this has to deal with the unknown that is between here and there. This space right here, this is the unknown, and this is what we fear the most when we make a change. We make changes because we see a future. That future is not for certain. That future is an idea. And the only thing that can get us from here to there is what we do in the space. But the space is unknown, and a lot of times we don't know how, and we don't know where, and we don't know what to do first. And it's scary, but it gets to a point where you are here and you want to get out of here. Like, you can't be here any longer. And I feel like this Mercury retrograde was kind of that push of like, hey, this needs to get out. Hey, this can't stay anymore. And we hold on to these things so tightly because they're what's safe for us. And they're what's safe for us. They are what we're used to. But doesn't, like, we can consider something that is not safe as safe just because it's familiar. Familiar does not equal safe, not always. And so this is a huge time for review of all of this. That was a lot of information. So there is also a full moon coming on, I don't know the date, I think it's the 29th, and it's a full moon in Aquarius. Yes, an Aquarius full moon. And that will be a great time to release and really detach, because Aquarius is the sign of detachment. I love you Aquarius people. And I really admire your ability to detach in the way that you do. I will talk about that more when the time comes, but I think that will also be a really nice clarifying moon. So we have things to look forward to. It's not all bad. And like I said, Leo season is coming up on Thursday. Tomorrow's the 21st. Wednesday, yes, Thursday. The sun moves into Leo. The sun belongs in Leo. The sun loves to shine. Leos love to shine. The sun is devoted, and it's loyal, and it is vast. And that's how Leos are. I personally really admire Leos as well, as a fire sign. And I feel like this Leo season is a permission slip to act out and act on, just like express everything that was so clogged up in this Cancer season. It's a time to make art, it's a time to be outside, it's a time to be with other people, it's a time to play, it's a passionate time. We have eclipses going on in Leo season. We have Lionsgate portal, which I love Lionsgate portal so much. And Leo rules the heart. And so it is a time to be heart focused and heart centered and to act from the heart. And I think all of that emotion swelling up from Cancer season needs to be pushed out of the body. It's an active time. We are still in the summer. The sun is still shining and is still at its peak. So, in this week, if there is one thing you want to do, it's just to express, whether that be physically or emotionally or artistically or, I don't know, sensually. Yeah, it's a time to just express. So, get that shit out. Clear the debris. Mercury's going direct. Everything's going to be fine. Yeah, that's what's going on this week. I don't want to, overwhelm you guys with so much information. I also am, taking it all in myself, and for the most part, like I said, I've had some things come up in Mercury retrograde. I feel like the end of it was worse for me than the beginning. That I think in the shadow period, which is just the next week after Mercury stations direct, that things are still sorting themselves out, that I think I'll move through. But yeah, I hope that was helpful if you've been suffering. I think the best thing we can do is just to continue on and tap into the heart space and tap into what makes our heart shine and what calls our heart forward, even if it's illogical or scary or in that unknown space between here and there. You know, you can either stay here or you can get there somehow. You can either stay here or you can get there somehow. So, with that information, we're going to pull a tarot card. I didn't pull one yet. I don't want to use these ones that popped out. Where is this week gonna take us? Eight of Cups. Indolence. Interesting. Whenever I see the Eight of Cups, I think a little bit about confusion. But it's also let's see, indolence. Indolence is avoidance. I feel like this card speaks to anything that we are being stubborn about letting go of. So this card is asking you to look at everything and to take stock and to think about what you are either confused about but not really confused about. You just say you're confused about it. It's kind of like when we say oh, I don't know. We do know. If we just took some time to formulate our thoughts, we do know. That's a bad habit of mine too, if I'm being honest. Um, yeah, I think about confusion when I see this, and then avoidance. It also said laziness. Where have you been wanting to make a change that you just haven't, out of laziness or avoidance of attempting the change? And where has that avoidance tied, like, has it been tied to anything in this past retrograde? Like, what is the hard thing you have to do that you just haven't been doing? That you haven't addressed because you're like, well, I could just keep going on like this and it's kind of fine, but then Mercury retrograde comes and there's all these problems, and it's like, oh, I should have just done what I've been telling myself I was going to do all along. And if I did that, then I probably wouldn't have had these issues, or it wouldn't have been this bad. That's not to say that we should regret decisions. Everything happens for a reason. These are lessons that need to be learned, but the lesson keeps presenting itself until the lesson is learned. And the suffering of Mercury retrograde that sounds so dramatic. The suffering of Mercury retrograde will continue if you don't make the proper changes or take proper precautions. Yeah, Eight of Cups. And the thing is, after the Eight of Cups is the Nine of Cups. And the Nine of Cups is like a moment of pause and a moment of gratitude for how far you've come before you up level, basically. And this is like making that jump from here to there. Okay? This is the thing that you need to do to set a sail into the ocean of the unknown before you get to the island across the way. And the island across the way is the beautiful, beautiful card of Ten of Cups, which I will pull for us just because it's nice to have an idea of where we're going. See, the 9 is happiness. That's what's next. And the 10, satiety. I can never say this word. Satiety. Look at that. That's glorious. And it's in the shape of the Tree of Life, which is completion. It's pure. The Tree of Life is pure manifestation. So how do we get from here to here? What's missing? And this is not something logical. This is like the feeling that you get. The feeling that you're like, oh, I feel like that this is the issue, but I don't really feel like dealing with that. That's the issue. Okay, that's what you need to address. Or just open it up. Like, it's hard to get from here to there right away. It's almost not possible unless, you just really do it without thinking. Like, you really do without thinking. But you can just open it up if you're not ready. You could just open it up and say, why have I refused to put my bag of old clothes out on the street? Like, why I walk by every day, why have I refused to do that? I feel like that is holding me back for some reason. Why have I refused to do that? You can open that up and just talk to yourself about it. You don't have to put the bag of clothes on the street yet. You can eventually, you should eventually, but just open it up and see what happens. Eight of Cups, indolence. This is not a place we want to be, but sometimes it's a necessary place to be in the process. All right, you guys. If you can't tell, I'm really on like a post-yoga high. I also feel like I have so much to say, and I'm about to like bang out a bunch of writing after this when I really need to like shower and be responsible. But when inspiration strikes, you can't be lazy about it. Where the card go? You can't be lazy about it. This video is free for everyone today because Mercury retrograde has kind of fucked us all. But thank you so much for watching. Again, apologies about the quality of anything in this video. I'm filming on an iPad. If you would like a birth chart reading or a tarot reading, please click the link below and book with me, or you can send me an email. I also offer limited birth chart write-ups where I write everything out for you, and I also offer with that like rituals of integration and journal prompts that could be helpful for integrating the information of your birth chart to your everyday life, because sometimes it's a lot of information. Often it's a lot of information. But that is it for today's video. I hope that you all have a great week and that everything works out the way it's supposed to. And that it's not too harsh. I think that the worst of it is over, and there's a lot of great shifting happening around. So take one big stretch, and I will see you guys next week. As I said, this video is free, but these readings are typically for paid subscribers. So if you want to subscribe, that would be great. $7.77 a month really helps me out, and I also am slowly adding more to the repertoire of the paid subscriber option, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, happy Monday.